When a near-fatal accident erases Daniel Carson's memory, his failing marriage to Lily gets an unexpected reset. As he rediscovers their love, she hides a painful truth. Their marriage was already over. But when his memories return, will their second chance survive? Before we get into the story, comment below where in the world you are watching from today. The morning sunlight poured through the windows of the farmhouse kitchen, but it did nothing to warm the chill between Daniel and Lily Carson. 15. Years of marriage had come to this. Silent breakfasts and avoiding each other's eyes across a table that suddenly felt too small. Daniel stared into his coffee cup. At 45, he was at the height of his success. The small family farm he'd inherited had grown into one of the largest agricultural operations in the county. Everyone called him the miracle worker, the man with the golden touch. Everyone, except his wife. "I've got meetings all day," he said, breaking the silence. "Don't wait up." Lily didn't look up from her toast. Wouldn't dream of it. Her voice was flat, tired. At 42, Lily was still beautiful, with her honey-blonde hair and green eyes that used to light up whenever she saw him. Now those eyes only held disappointment. "Great," Daniel muttered, pushing back his chair. He grabbed his keys from the hook by the door. "Just great." As he walked out to his truck, he couldn't help looking back at the sprawling farmhouse with its wraparound porch. They'd built it together 10 years ago, when things were good, when they still talked and laughed and loved each other. When had it all gone wrong? Lily watched from the window as Daniel's truck disappeared down the long driveway. She wiped away a tear before it could fall. How had they ended up like this? Strangers living under the same roof, tiptoeing around each other, afraid to say what was really on their minds. The phone rang, startling her out of her thoughts. "Hello? Lily, it's Beth." Her sister's voice was a welcome distraction. "How are you holding up?" Lily sank into a chair. "Same as yesterday, and the day before that." "Have you told him yet? About the lawyer?" "No." Lily twisted the wedding band she still wore. "I'm seeing the divorce lawyer tomorrow. I'll tell Daniel after." There was a pause on the line. "Are you sure this is what you want? 15 years is a long time." 15 years is exactly why I need to do this," Lily said, her voice breaking. "I can't keep living like this, Beth. The fights, the silences, the broken promises. Daniel doesn't see me anymore. All he sees is his empire. People change, Lily. Not Daniel, not anymore." She looked at the calendar on the wall. The appointment with the divorce lawyer was circled in red. "It's better this way, for both of us." After hanging, Lily wandered through the empty house. Every room held memories, good and bad. The living room where they'd danced after buying the farm. The nursery they'd painted yellow, hoping for a baby that never came. The study where they'd had their biggest fight last Christmas, when Daniel missed her family dinner for a business call outside. The farm stretched for miles. Fields of corn and wheat, orchards heavy with fruit, pastures dotted with cattle. Daniel had built it all from nothing but a run-down family property and sheer determination. She'd been so proud of him. Once, Lily grabbed her gardening gloves. At least she still had her flowers. The large garden behind the house was her sanctuary, the one place Daniel never bothered her. She knelt in the soil, pulling weeds with more force than necessary. "Mrs. Carson?" Lily looked up to see Maria, one of their longtime farmhands, standing at the garden gate. "Mr. Roberts is looking for the irrigation schedules. He says Mr. Carson was supposed to leave them," Lily sighed. "I'll check his office." Daniel's office was meticulously organized, just like everything else in his life, except their marriage. She found the irrigation schedules in a folder marked "Urgent" and handed them to Maria. "Thank you, Mrs. Carson." Maria hesitated. "Is everything okay? You seem tired." Lily forced a smile. "I'm fine, just didn't sleep well." After Maria left, Lily stayed in Daniel's office, looking at the photographs on the wall. Their wedding day, the day they bought the farm, their 10th anniversary trip to Hawaii. She and Daniel had been so happy once. What had happened to that couple in the pictures? The answer was all around her. Certificates of achievement, business awards, news clippings about Carson Farms, the agricultural empire. Success had changed him, turned him into someone she barely recognized. Lily. opened the desk drawer looking for a pen, and froze. There was a small velvet box pushed to the back. With trembling fingers, she pulled it out and opened it. Inside was a diamond necklace, stunning in its simplicity. Attached was a small card. "For my Lily on our 15th anniversary next week. I'm sorry for everything. Love, Daniel." Tears welled in her eyes. Too little, too late. A necklace couldn't fix what was broken between them. She snapped the box shut and put it back exactly where she'd found it. It was time to move on. Daniel's day was going from bad to worse. The meeting with the bank had run long, and now he was stuck in traffic, drumming his fingers on the steering wheel of his pickup truck. His phone rang through the car speakers. "Daniel Carson," he answered. "Daniel, it's Jack from the co-op. We've got a problem with the grain shipment." Daniel swore under his breath. "What kind of problem?" "They're saying it's contaminated. They want to reject the whole load." "That's impossible," Daniel snapped. "I checked it myself." "Well, they're demanding you come down here today." Daniel looked at the clock on the dashboard. Nearly 5 p.m. He'd promised Lily he'd be home early tonight. They needed to talk. He'd been putting it off for too long. "I'll be there in 20 minutes, he said, making a quick U-turn. 2 hours later, Daniel was back in his truck, exhaustion weighing on him like a physical thing. The grain situation was resolved. Just a misunderstanding, but now he was even later than usual. He picked up his phone and called home. No answer. He tried Lily's cell phone. Straight to voicemail. "Hey, it's me," he said after the beep. No, I said I'd be early, but there was an emergency with the grain shipment. I'm on my way now." Daniel hung up, a knot forming in his stomach. Another broken promise. Another brick in the wall between them. The rain started as he turned onto the county road that led to the farm. Just a drizzle at first, then a downpour that made it hard to see. Daniel slowed down, peering through the windshield. His mind wandered to the necklace hidden in his desk drawer. Their 15th anniversary was next week. He'd planned a surprise dinner, a chance to finally talk, to try to fix things. But would Lily even care? The way she looked at him lately, like he was a stranger. It broke his heart. Daniel's phone rang again. He glanced down to see Lily's picture on the screen. "Lily, I'm so sorry." "Save it, Daniel," she interrupted. "I don't want to hear it. Please just let me explain." "No, no more explanations, no more excuses. I can't do this anymore." Daniel felt his chest tighten. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying, I've had enough. I'm seeing a lawyer tomorrow." "A lawyer?" Daniel's voice cracked. "You mean a divorce lawyer?" The silence on the other end was answer enough. "Lily, please, we can work this out. I know things have been bad, but..." "Bad?" "Things haven't been bad, Daniel. They've been unbearable. You're never home. When you are, you're distracted. You care more about that farm than you do about me." "That's not true, isn't it? When was the last time we had a real conversation? When was the last time you really saw me?" Daniel opened his mouth to argue, but no words came out. She was right. He had taken her for granted, assumed she would always be there while he built his empire. "I'm coming home now," he said. "We'll talk about this. Please, Lily, don't do anything yet." "It's too late, Daniel. I've made up my mind." The line went dead. "No," Daniel shouted, slapping the steering wheel. This couldn't be happening. He wouldn't let it happen. He pressed harder on the accelerator, desperate to get home, to make Lily understand that he could change. The rain came down in sheets now, making the roads slick. The curve ahead appeared suddenly in his headlights. Daniel turned the wheel, but the truck hydroplaned, sliding across the wet pavement. He fought for control, but it was too late. The last thing Daniel saw was the massive oak tree looming in front of him, and then everything went black. Lily stared at the phone, in her hand her heart racing. She hadn't meant to tell Daniel about the lawyer over the phone. It had just slipped out, fueled by years of frustration and hurt. The sound of the doorbell jolted her. Who would be visiting this late, in this weather? She opened the door, to find Sheriff Mike Taylor standing on her porch, rain dripping from his hat. "Mike, what is it?" The look on his face made her blood run cold. "It's Daniel," he said gently. "There's been an accident." The world seemed to tilt under Lily's feet. Is he... He's alive," Mike assured her quickly. But it's serious. They've taken him to County General. I'll drive you. The drive to the hospital passed in a blur. Lily stared out the window, unable to process what was happening. Just minutes ago, she'd been telling Daniel she wanted a divorce. Now he was fighting for his life. What happened? She finally asked. His truck went off the road, hit a tree, the rain, the curve. It was a bad combination. Lily's mind flashed to their phone call. He'd been upset, driving too fast. "It's my fault," she whispered. "No, Lily, it was an accident." But she couldn't shake the feeling that her words had caused this. If she hadn't called him, if she hadn't told him about the lawyer, at the hospital, Dr. Sarah Jenkins met them in the waiting room. "Mrs. Carson?" "How is he?" Lily asked, her voice barely audible. "Your husband has suffered a severe concussion and some internal bleeding, which we've managed to control. He has a broken arm and several cracked ribs, but our main concern is the head trauma. Will he recover?" Dr. Jenkins's face softened. "We believe so, but with head injuries, it's difficult to predict. We won't know the full extent until he regains consciousness. Can I see him?" "Yes, but just for a few minutes. He's still unconscious." Daniel looked smaller somehow, lying in the hospital bed, surrounded by beeping machines. His face was bruised, his arm in a cast. Lily took his good hand in hers, tears streaming down her face. "I'm so sorry, Daniel," she whispered. "This is all my fault." She stayed by his side all night, dozing in the uncomfortable chair, startling awake whenever a nurse came in to check his vitals. By morning, Beth had arrived with clean clothes and coffee. "Any change?" Beth asked, handing Lily a cup. Lily shook her head. "Nothing. The doctor says we just have to wait. He's strong, Lily. He'll pull through." Around noon, Dr. Jenkins came, in with another doctor, a neurologist named Dr. Patterson. "Mrs. Carson, we've been monitoring your husband's brain activity. It's showing improvement, which is a good sign. So he'll wake up soon?" "We hope so, but I need to prepare you for the possibility that there may be complications." Lily's throat tightened. "What kind of complications?" "With traumatic brain injuries, it's common to experience some memory loss. It could be short-term, affecting just the accident and events immediately before it, or it could be more extensive. You mean he might not remember things? Important things?" Dr. Patterson nodded. "It's a possibility we need to be prepared for. But we won't know until he wakes up." After the doctors left, Lily sat in silence, holding Daniel's hand. Memory loss. The words echoed in her mind. What would happen if Daniel woke up and didn't remember their fight, their problems, the divorce she'd been planning? It felt like the universe was giving them a second chance, but could she take it? Would it be fair to either of them to pretend everything was okay when it wasn't? Before she could answer her own questions, Daniel's hand twitched in hers. "Daniel," she said, standing up. "Can you hear me?" His eyelids fluttered, then slowly opened. Confusion clouded his blue eyes as they focused on her face. "Thank God," Lily breathed. "You're awake, I'll get the doctor." But as she turned to go, Daniel's hand tightened around hers. "Wait," he said, his voice raspy from disuse. Lily turned back. "What is it? Are you in pain?" Daniel looked at her, then around the hospital room, clearly disoriented. "What happened? Where am I?" "You were in an accident. Your truck hit a tree." He frowned, struggling to process this information. "A truck? My truck?" Something in his voice made Lily's heart skip a beat. "Yes, your pickup, the red one." Daniel shook his head slightly, then winced. I don't remember a red truck." Lily felt a chill run down her spine. "What do you remember, Daniel?" He stared at her for a long moment, his eyes searching her face. Then he said the words that would change everything. "I'm sorry, but who are you?" The world seemed to stop. Lily couldn't breathe. Couldn't move. "I'm Lily," she said finally. "Lily Carson, your wife." Daniel's eyes widened. "My wife? But I don't..." He looked down at his left hand, at the gold wedding band he still wore. "I don't remember being married." Lily pressed the call button for the nurse, her hand shaking. "It's okay," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. "The doctor said this might happen. You hit your head pretty hard." "How long?" Daniel asked. "How long have we been married?" Lily hesitated, suddenly unsure of what to say. The truth was that they'd been married for 15 unhappy years and were on the verge of divorce. But looking into Daniel's confused, vulnerable eyes, she couldn't bring herself to say those words. 15 years, she said instead. We've been married for 15 years. Daniel looked stunned. 15 years and I don't remember any of it? His eyes filled with tears. I don't remember you. The door opened and Dr. Jenkins rushed in, followed by Dr. Patterson. Mr. Carson, you're awake. That's excellent news. Dr. Jenkins checked his vitals while Dr. Patterson shined a light in his eyes. He doesn't remember me, Lily said, her voice breaking. He doesn't remember being married. Dr. Patterson looked concerned. Mr. Carson, can you tell me the last thing you do remember? Daniel thought for a moment. I was working on the farm, my father's farm. It was summer, I think. What year was it? 2009, Daniel said confidently. Lily gasped. 2009. The year before they got married. Daniel had lost 15 years of his life. That's not unusual with this type of injury, Dr. Patterson assured them. Memory can return gradually in pieces or all at once. The important thing is to be patient and not to force it. Will he remember eventually? Lily asked. In most cases, yes, but it's important to create a calm, supportive environment. Familiar surroundings often help. After the doctors left, Daniel looked at Lily with a mixture of confusion and wonder. So we're married, he said, as if testing the words. And we live on the farm? My father's farm? Lily nodded. Yes, though it's much bigger now. You've expanded it over the years. And my parents, where are they? Another painful question. Your father passed away in 2011. Your mother moved to Florida with her sister 3 years ago. Daniel closed his eyes, absorbing this information. I've missed so much. Lily felt a wave of guilt. Here was Daniel, vulnerable and confused, looking to her for guidance. And what was she planning to do? Walk away? How could she tell him now that their marriage was over? That she'd been on her way to a divorce lawyer when he crashed? Mrs. Carson? A nurse appeared in the doorway. There's some paperwork we need you to fill out. As Lily followed the nurse, her mind raced. What should she do? The right thing would be to tell Daniel the truth, that they'd grown apart, that they were unhappy, that they'd been on the brink of divorce. But the truth would devastate him. He was already struggling to cope with the loss of his memory. Could she really add to that burden? No. For now, at least, she would keep their problems to herself. She would take Daniel home, help him recover, and hope that as his memory returned, they could find a way to either fix what was broken or part on better terms than they would have before the accident. It wasn't dishonest, she told herself. It was merciful, but as she signed the hospital forms, Lily couldn't shake the feeling that she was making a decision that would change both their lives forever. When she returned to Daniel's room, he was sitting up, looking more alert. The doctor says I can go home tomorrow, he told her. If someone's there to keep an eye on me, I'll be there, Lily promised. I'll take care of you. Daniel studied her face. You know, it's strange, I don't remember you, but something about you feels familiar, safe. Lily felt tears prick her eyes. When was the last time Daniel had looked at her like that, with such open affection? Years, probably. We've been through a lot together, she said quietly. Tell me, he urged. Tell me about us, how we met, how we fell in love. Lily sat on the edge of the bed and took his hand. Here, at least, she could tell the truth. We met at the county fair. I was working at the pie contest booth, and you entered your mum's apple pie. Daniel smiled. Did I win? Not even close. But you asked me out. Anyway, said it was the best day of your life losing that contest because it led you to me. That sounds like something I'd say. We got married a year later on the farm, under the big oak tree by the pond. The one my grandfather planted. Lily nodded. That's the one. Daniel looked thoughtful. And are we happy? The question hung in the air between them. Lily hesitated, caught between truth and mercy. We have our good days and bad days like any couple, she said finally. But we're still here, aren't we? It wasn't a lie, not exactly, but it wasn't the whole truth either. Daniel seemed satisfied with her answer. I should be scared, waking up and finding out I've lost 15 years of my life. But somehow, knowing that you're my wife, it makes it less terrifying. Lily squeezed his hand, unable to speak past the lump in her throat. Outside the hospital window, the rain had stopped and a rainbow arched across the sky. A new beginning, Lily thought, or the calm before the storm. Only time would tell. The farmhouse looked different somehow as Lily drove up the long driveway with Daniel beside her. Even though nothing had changed in the 3 days he'd been in the hospital, she saw it now through his eyes. Unfamiliar, imposing, overwhelming. "This is our house?" Daniel asked, staring up at the 2-story farmhouse with its wide porch and gleaming windows. "Yes," Lily said. "We built it 10 years ago." Daniel frowned. "It's so big. Just for the two of us?" The question stung more than he could know. The house had been designed with children in mind, children that never came. After years of trying and 2 miscarriages, they'd stopped talking about it. Another wound that had never healed. "We like our space," she said, forcing a smile. "Come on, let's get you inside." Daniel moved slowly, still sore from the accident. Lily took his arm, guiding him up the porch steps. She felt him tense as they entered the house. "It's okay," she assured him. "You're home now." Daniel looked around the spacious entryway, taking in the high ceilings, the expensive furniture, the framed photographs on the walls. "This doesn't feel like me," he said quietly. Lily knew what he meant. The Daniel from 15 years ago, the one who lived in his memory, would have never chosen such a showplace. He had been simpler then, more down to earth. Success had changed him. "It took some getting used to," she admitted, "but it grew on us." Another half-truth. The house had always felt too big to Lily, too much like a statement and not enough like a home. She showed him to the living room, where she'd made up the couch with pillows and blankets. "The doctor said you should avoid stairs for a few days, so I thought you could sleep down here." Daniel nodded, lowering himself carefully onto the couch. "What about you?" "I'll be upstairs, but I'll leave our door open, so if you need anything, just call out." "Our door," Daniel repeated, as if trying to get used to the idea. "Lily, I'm sorry I don't remember us. It must be hard for you." Lily swallowed past the lump in her throat. "It's not your fault. The doctors say your memory might come back any time. Or it might not," she thought. And part of her, a part she was ashamed to acknowledge, hoped it wouldn't. At least not the bad parts, not the fights, the disappointments, the slow death of their love. "Are you hungry?" she asked, changing the subject. "I could make you some soup." "That sounds nice," Daniel said. "Can I help?" Lily almost laughed. The Daniel she'd known for the past few years wouldn't have asked that question. He barely set foot in the kitchen anymore. "No, you rest. I'll take care of it." In the kitchen, Lily moved on autopilot, heating up the homemade chicken soup Beth had brought over yesterday. Her mind raced with all the things she needed to handle. The farm couldn't run itself, and Daniel, the mastermind behind it all, was in no condition to make decisions. A knock at the back door interrupted her thoughts. Tom Roberts, their farm manager, stood on the porch. "Mrs. Carson," he said, removing his hat. "How's Mr. Carson doing?" "He's home now," Lily said. "But he doesn't remember much." Tom's eyes widened. "How much is much?" "The last 15 years. He thinks it's 2009. He doesn't remember expanding the farm, or anything since then." Tom let out a low whistle. "That's going to complicate things. We've got decisions that need making. The new irrigation system, the contract with Harvest Foods." Lily held up a hand. "I know, but we can't overwhelm him right now. Dr. Patterson was very clear. No stress, no pressure. His brain needs time to heal. With all due respect, Mrs. Carson, the farm can't wait. Harvest time is coming, and then I'll handle it," Lily said firmly. "I know enough about the operation. Between you and me, we can keep things running. Until Daniel recovers." Tom looked doubtful. "You've never been involved in the business side before. Maybe it's time I started." Lily's voice was stronger than she felt. "Daniel needs me now, and so does the farm." After Tom left, Lily leaned against the counter, suddenly exhausted. What was she thinking? She knew nothing about running a multi-million-dollar agricultural operation. For years, Daniel had insisted on handling it all himself, keeping her out of the business discussions, the strategic planning, the financial decisions. But now, he needed her. And despite everything, despite the divorce papers, she'd been ready to file. She couldn't abandon him. Not like this. With a deep breath, she picked up the soup tray and carried it to the living room. "Who was that?" Daniel asked as she set the tray on the coffee table. "Tom Roberts, our farm manager. He was just checking on you." Daniel's eyes lit up. Farm manager. So we did expand the operation. Lily nodded, sitting beside him. "You've accomplished a lot, Daniel. Carson Farms is one of the biggest operations in the state now." Pride flashed across his face, quickly replaced by confusion. "But I don't remember any of it. How did I do it? What decisions did I make?" "One step at a time," Lily said gently. "That's what the doctor said, remember? No rushing, no pressure. Your memory might come back on its own." Daniel took a spoonful of soup, then another. "This is good," he said. "Did you make it?" Another loaded question. Once upon a time, Lily had cooked every day. But as their marriage deteriorated, she'd stopped trying. What was the point when Daniel rarely came home for dinner? "Actually, my sister Beth made it. She's been helping out since your accident." "That's nice of her." Daniel hesitated. "I'm sorry, but I don't remember." "Beth either." "That's okay, you'll meet her again soon." Lily stood up. "You should rest now, doctor's orders." As she turned to go, Daniel caught her hand. "Lily, thank you for taking care of me, for being so patient." The simple gratitude in his voice brought tears to her eyes. When was the last time Daniel had thanked her for anything? "That's what wives do," she said softly. For the rest of the day, Lily moved between the living room, where Daniel dozed on and off, and Daniel's office, where she tried to make sense of the farm operations. There were so many documents, so many decisions pending. How had Daniel managed it all? As evening fell, she helped Daniel to the bathroom, then settled him back on the couch with fresh pillows and blankets. "Are you comfortable?" she asked, adjusting the blanket. "Yes, but Lily..." He looked up at her, uncertainty in his eyes. "This feels strange. Being taken care of by a wife I don't remember. You must have better things to do." "There's nothing better than helping you get well," she said, and was surprised to find she meant it. Despite everything, despite the hurt and resentment that had built up over the years, she didn't want to see Daniel suffer. "Will you tell me more?" he asked. "About us? About the farm?" "I feel like I'm living someone else's life." Lily sat on the edge of the couch. "What do you want to know?" "Everything. But maybe start with how we built all this." "The last thing I remember, the farm was struggling. Dad was talking about selling." Lily's mind raced. How much should she tell him? The truth was complicated. Daniel had saved the farm, yes. But at what cost? Their marriage had been the price of his success. "You had a vision," she said carefully. "You saw potential where others didn't. Started with organic farming, then expanded into specialty crops. You took risks, and they paid off." Daniel's face brightened. "And you were part of it?" "We did it. Together?" The question hung between them. The truth was that they hadn't done it together. Daniel had pushed her away, insisting that he knew best, that she didn't understand the business. Their partnership, so strong in the early years, had crumbled under the weight of his ambition. But looking at him now, so eager, so vulnerable, Lily couldn't bring herself to say those words. "We were a team," she said instead. "You had the vision, and I supported you." It wasn't entirely a lie. She had supported him in the beginning, at least, until support turned to sacrifice and sacrifice to resentment. Daniel smiled, relaxing back against the pillows. "That sounds right. I can't imagine doing any of this without you." The irony of his words made Lily's heart ache. The old Daniel, the one lost to memory, had done exactly that, built his empire without her, despite her, sometimes even against her wishes. "It's getting late," she said, standing up. "You should sleep. The doctor said rest is the best medicine. Good night." "Lily," Daniel said, his eyes already closing. "Thank you for everything." Upstairs in their bedroom, Lily sat on the edge of the king-sized bed, suddenly overwhelmed by the emptiness. How many nights had she slept here alone while Daniel worked late? How many mornings had she woken to find his side of the bed untouched? Now, he was downstairs sleeping on the couch, while she was up here alone again, but for entirely different reasons. Lily changed into her nightgown and slipped under the covers, but sleep wouldn't come. Her mind kept replaying the last conversation she'd had with Daniel before the accident. The anger in her voice, the hurt in his, the word divorce hanging between them like a guillotine. Now here they were, playing house, pretending to be the loving couple they once were. How long could she keep up the charade? And what would happen when Daniel's memory returned? The next morning, Lily woke to the smell of coffee. For a moment she forgot everything, the accident, the memory loss, the pretense, and thought that Daniel had made her coffee, like he used to in the early days of their marriage. Then reality crashed back. Daniel was supposed to be resting, not making coffee. She hurried downstairs to find him in the kitchen, moving awkwardly with his cast, trying to reach the mugs in the upper cabinet. "Daniel, what are you doing? You're supposed to be resting," he turned, a sheepish smile on his face. "I wanted to surprise you with breakfast, but I can't seem to find anything in this kitchen." "That's because you're looking in all the wrong places." Lily took the coffee pot from him and poured 2 cups. "The mugs are in this cabinet, not that one." "Sorry," Daniel said. "I guess I don't know my way around my own house." The sadness in his voice tugged at Lily's heart. "It's okay, it'll come. Back to you. Meanwhile you sit, I'll make breakfast." As she cooked eggs and toast, Lily was acutely aware of Daniel watching her from the kitchen table. There was something in his gaze that she hadn't seen in years. Admiration, maybe even a hint of desire. "What?" she asked, feeling self-conscious. "Nothing," he said quickly. "It's just, you're beautiful in the morning light." Lily nearly dropped. The spatula. When was the last time Daniel had given her a compliment like that? Years, probably. "Thank you," she said, turning back to the stove to hide her blush. Over breakfast, Daniel asked more questions about the farm, their life together, his parents. Lily answered as honestly as she could, without revealing the troubles in their marriage. "I'd like to see the farm today," Daniel said as they finished eating. "Just a short walk. The doctor said light exercise would be good for me." Lily hesitated. "Are you sure you're up to it?" "I need to see what I've built," Daniel said, "even if I don't remember building it." An hour later, they were walking slowly. Through the nearest orchard, the apple trees heavy with fruit nearly ready for harvest. Daniel breathed deeply, taking in the familiar scent. "This part I remember," he said. "Dad planted these trees when I was a kid." "Yes, but you expanded the orchard, added new varieties. You've always had a knack for knowing what to plant and when." Daniel stopped, looking out over the rolling hills of the farm. In the distance, workers moved through a field, checking the crops. Tractors hummed, and a delivery truck made its way up a dirt road. "It's incredible," he said softly. "I never imagined we could make it this big." "You did that," Lily said. "You turned your father's struggling farm into all this." Daniel turned to her, his eyes serious. "We did it." "Lily, you said we were a team." Guilt twisted in Lily's stomach. It should have been that way. In the beginning it was. But somewhere along the way, Daniel had stopped seeing her as a partner and started seeing her as an obstacle. Her concerns about his constant expansion, her pleas for him to slow down and enjoy what they had, he dismissed them all as fear, as lack of vision. "We should head back," she said, avoiding his gaze. "You shouldn't overdo it your first day home." As they turned back toward the house, a red sports car came speeding up the driveway, skidding to a halt near the front porch. A tall, dark-haired woman in an expensive suit stepped out. "Who's that?" Daniel asked. Lily's stomach dropped. "Victoria Wade, your business partner." Victoria spotted them and strode across the lawn. "Daniel, thank God you're okay. I came as soon. Has I heard you were out of the hospital?" She reached them and seemed about to throw her arms around Daniel, but stopped short when she saw his confused expression. "Daniel, it's me, Victoria, your partner." She looked at Lily, then back at Daniel. "What's wrong with him?" "Daniel has amnesia," Lily explained. "He doesn't remember the last 15 years. Victoria's perfectly made-up face registered shock. "You're joking." "I'm afraid not," Daniel said. extending his hand formally. "I'm sorry, but I don't remember." "To you, Ms. Wade." Victoria ignored his hand, turning to Lily instead. "This is a disaster. We have the merger to finalize, the bank meeting next week, the expansion plans for the East property. All of that will have to wait," Lily said firmly. "Daniel needs time to recover." Victoria's eyes narrowed. "We don't have time. The Wilsons won't wait forever with their offer. If we don't move now, we could lose everything." "I said it will have to wait," Lily repeated, her voice sharper now. "Daniel's health comes first." "What merger?" Daniel asked, looking between the two women. "What offer?" Victoria opened her mouth to explain, but Lily cut her off. "It's nothing you need to worry about right now. Doctor's orders, remember? No stress." "This is business, not stress," Victoria argued. "Daniel would want to know, the real Daniel, not this amnesiac version." Lily felt anger rising in her chest. "The real Daniel is standing right here, and he's in no condition to make $1 million decisions. Now, if you'll excuse us, my husband needs to rest." She took Daniel's arm and led him toward the house, leaving Victoria fuming on the lawn. "She seemed upset," Daniel said as they reached the porch. "And important. Should I have talked to her?" "Victoria Wade is the last person you need to deal with right now," Lily said, helping him up the steps. "She's always pushing for more expansion, more risks. She doesn't care about your health, only the bottom line." Inside, Lily settled Daniel on the couch again, bringing him water and his pain medication. "You didn't tell me I had a business partner," he said, still troubled by the encounter. "You have several, actually. Carson Farms has grown into Carson Agricultural Enterprises. You have partners, investors, a whole board of directors." Daniel looked stunned. "I'm not just a farmer anymore, am I?" "You're still a farmer at heart," Lily assured him. "That's what makes you different from Victoria and the others. They see numbers on a spreadsheet. You see the land, the crops, the people who work here. At least that's how it used to be," she thought sadly. Over the years, Daniel had become more like Victoria, focused on profits, expansion, always looking to the next deal. He'd lost touch with the simple joy of farming that had once defined him. "I think I need that rest now," Daniel said, looking suddenly tired. Lily adjusted his pillows. "I'll be in the office if you need me. Try to sleep." In Daniel's office, Lily found a stack of messages from various business associates, all demanding updates, decisions, meetings. How had Daniel managed it all? No wonder he'd had no time for their marriage. She was sorting through the papers when her phone rang. It was Beth. "How's it going? How's Daniel?" her sister asked. "Physically, he's improving, but his memory is still gone. And Victoria Wade just showed up, talking about mergers and bank meetings and God knows what else." Ah, the infamous Victoria. Daniel's work wife. Lily flinched at the description. She'd often wondered if there was more between Daniel and Victoria than business. They spent so much time together, shared so many late-night meetings and business trips. Had Daniel strayed? She'd never found proof, but the suspicion had been yet another wedge between them. "She's worried about some deal with the Wilsons. Do you know anything about that?" "Only what you've told me," Beth said. "That Daniel's been trying to buy their property for years. They finally agreed to sell, but I don't know the details." Lily sighed. "I'll have to talk to Tom about it. He might know more." "So, you're really going to do this? Run the farm while Daniel recovers? What choice do I have, Beth? I can't just abandon him, not when he's like this." "But what about the divorce? What about all the reasons you were ready to leave?" Lily glanced toward the living room, where Daniel was sleeping. "Everything's changed now. He's changed. He's more like he used to be, before the farm took over his life." "Because he doesn't remember becoming that other person," Beth pointed out. "But what happens when his memory comes back? When he remembers all the fights, all the late nights, all the broken promises?" "I don't know," Lily admitted, "but I have to believe that there's a reason for all this. Maybe this is our second chance." After hanging up, Lily sat at Daniel's desk, turning her wedding ring around her finger. Was she fooling herself? Could they really start over just because Daniel had forgotten all the bad parts of their marriage? A soft knock on the door interrupted her thoughts. Daniel stood there, leaning against the doorframe. "I couldn't sleep," he said. "Too many questions running through my head." Lily rose quickly. You shouldn't be up. Let me help you back to the couch. In a minute, Daniel said, looking around the office. Is this where I work? Yes. When you're not out on the farm. Daniel moved to the desk, running his fingers over the polished wood surface. It feels strange, being in my own office, surrounded by my own things, and not recognizing any of it. Lily watched as he picked up a framed photograph from the desk, the two of them on their 10th anniversary trip to Hawaii, arms around each other, smiling for the camera. It had been one of their last truly happy times together. We look happy, Daniel said softly. We were, Lily replied, and it wasn't a lie. They had been happy once, before success changed him, before disappointment hardened her. Daniel set the photograph down and turned to her, his eyes full of determination. I want to remember, Lily. I want to remember us, our life together, this farm. But until then, I want to get to know you again. What do you mean? I mean, maybe we could start over? Not as strangers, but not taking anything for granted either. Maybe we could date. Date, Lily repeated, caught off guard. Daniel smiled shyly. Yes, date. Get to know each other again. Fall in love again. Would that be okay? Lily felt a warmth spreading through her chest, a feeling she hadn't experienced in years. Yes, she said, returning his smile. I think that would be okay. Later that night, as Lily prepared for bed, she thought about Daniel's suggestion. Dating her own husband. It was absurd, really. And yet, wasn't it exactly what they needed? A fresh start. A chance to remember why they'd fallen in love in the first place. But as she slipped under the covers, doubt crept in. She was keeping so much from him. The unhappiness, the fights, the near divorce. Was it fair to start a new relationship on such shaky ground? And what would happen when his memory returned, as the doctors said it probably would? Would he hate her for the deception? Would he feel betrayed? Or would this time together, this second chance at love, be strong enough to survive the truth? Lily closed her eyes, pushing the questions away. For now she would focus on the present, on helping Daniel heal, on rediscovering the man she had once loved with all her heart. Tomorrow would be the first day of their new beginning. Or perhaps, the beginning of the end. The next morning, Lily woke to the sound of soft knocking on her bedroom door. Lily, are you awake? She sat up, rubbing her eyes. Daniel, is everything okay? The door opened slightly and Daniel peeked in, looking slightly embarrassed. I'm fine. I made you breakfast. Well, tried to. It's nothing fancy, just toast and coffee. I thought maybe we could eat on the porch. It's a beautiful morning. Lily smiled, touched by the gesture. That sounds lovely. Give me a few minutes to get dressed. After he closed the door, Lily hugged her pillow to her chest, feeling like a teenager again. Had Daniel really made her breakfast? The Daniel she'd known for the past few years wouldn't have thought of such a thing. He was always too busy, too focused on the farm to bother with romantic gestures. 15 minutes later, dressed in a simple sundress, Lily joined Daniel on the porch. He had set up a small table with 2 place settings, a plate of slightly burnt toast and a pot of coffee. I'm afraid I'm not much of a cook, he said apologetically, and this kitchen is so different from what I remember. It's perfect, Lily assured him, taking a seat. Thank you. They ate in companionable silence, watching the sun rise over the fields. Workers were already arriving, parking their cars by the barns, heading out to their daily tasks. They all know what to do, Daniel observed, without me telling them. You've built an amazing team, Lily said. Tom Roberts runs a tight ship. Daniel nodded, thoughtful. I should talk to him today. Get up to speed on what's happening with the farm. Lily hesitated. Are you sure that's a good idea? The doctor said... I know what the doctor said, Daniel interrupted gently, but I can't just sit around doing nothing. This is my farm. Our farm. I need to understand what's happening even if I don't remember building it. Something in his tone, determination mixed with humility, reminded Lily of the young Daniel, the man she'd fallen in love with. Not arrogant, not dismissive, but confident in his abilities while still respecting her opinion. Okay, she agreed. But let's start slowly. I'll ask Tom to come by this afternoon, give you an overview of the current operations. Nothing too detailed yet. Daniel reached across the table and took her hand. "Thank you, Lily, for understanding, for taking care of me, for everything." The genuine gratitude in his voice made Lily's heart skip a beat. When was the last time Daniel had looked at her like that, his eyes full of admiration and... was that love? "That's what marriage is," she said softly. "Being there for each other." Daniel squeezed her hand. "I want to be there for you too. I know I can't remember how, but I want to learn. I want to be a good husband to you." Tears sprang to Lily's eyes, and she quickly blinked them away. If only he knew how far from that ideal they had drifted. How lonely she had been in their marriage, how disconnected they had become. "You are," she lied, unable to bear the thought of hurting him. "You are a good husband." The smile that lit up his face was worth the lie. For now. After breakfast, Lily called Tom and arranged for him to visit in the afternoon. Then she helped Daniel shower and change, an intimate task that left them both blushing and awkward. "I feel like an invalid," Daniel complained as she helped him button his shirt, his broken arm making the task difficult. "You are an invalid at least for a few more weeks," Lily reminded him. "Besides, consider this part of our dating process, getting to know each other again." Daniel laughed. "Not exactly what I had in mind for a date." "No? What did you have in mind?" He looked thoughtful. "Dinner, maybe. Not here, but somewhere nice, when I'm a bit more mobile." "Dinner sounds wonderful," Lily said, surprised by how much she meant it. When was the last time they'd gone out to dinner, just the two of them? Not for business, not with partners or investors, but simply as a couple enjoying each other's company. She couldn't remember. Tom arrived promptly at 2, carrying a stack of folders and looking nervous. Lily had briefed him on the phone. "Keep it simple, no stress, focus on the basics." "Mr. Carson," Tom said, shaking Daniel's hand. "It's good to see you up and about." "Thanks, Tom, though I have to admit I don't remember you. Lily tells me you run the day-to-day operations around here." "Yes, sir, for about 5 years now. But you're still the boss. You make all the big decisions." Daniel gestured to the living room. "Well, I'm temporarily out of the decision-making business, but I'd like to understand what I'm recovering from, if you know what I mean." For the next hour, Tom gave Daniel a simplified overview of Carson Farms, the crops they grew, the livestock they raised, the markets they served. Daniel listened intently, asking occasional questions, his quick mind still evident despite the memory loss. "And this merger Victoria mentioned?" Daniel asked finally. "With the Wilsons?" Tom glanced at Lily, who nodded slightly. "The Wilson property borders ours to the east. 300 acres, prime farmland. You've been trying to buy it for years, but old man Wilson wouldn't sell. He passed away last month, and his children finally agreed to a deal. It would be a major expansion for us." "How major?" Daniel asked. "With the Wilson land, Carson Farms would be the largest agricultural operation in the state, maybe even the region." Daniel let out a low whistle. No wonder Victoria was upset. How soon does this deal need to happen? The bank meeting is next week. If we don't move forward, the Wilsons might sell to someone else. Daniel looked at Lily. "What do you think? Should we go ahead with it?" The question caught her off guard. When was the last time Daniel had asked for her opinion on a business matter? Years, probably. He had long since stopped consulting her, confident that he knew best. I'm not sure," she stammered. "It's a big decision." "It is," Daniel agreed, "and I can't make it alone, not in my condition. I need your help, Lily." The simple admission, "I need your help," stirred something inside her. Pride, yes, but also a sense of partnership that had been missing from their marriage for too long. "We'll figure it out together," she promised. "But for now, I think that's enough business talk for one day." After Tom left, Daniel seemed thoughtful, staring out the window at the farm spread out before them. "It's a lot to take in," he said finally. "All this, it's more than I ever dreamed of." "You worked hard for it," Lily said, sitting beside him. "Harder than anyone I know." Daniel turned to her, his eyes serious. "Was it worth it? All the work, all the stress? Was it worth it, Lily?" The question hung between them, loaded with meaning that Daniel couldn't possibly understand. Was it worth their marriage? Worth the distance that had grown between them? Worth the lonely nights and broken promises? Only you can answer that, Lily said softly. When your memory returns. Daniel nodded, accepting her non-answer. I have a feeling it wasn't all smooth sailing. Victoria, the business partners, the expansion plans, it sounds complicated. Stressful. It has been, Lily admitted, especially the last few years. And us? Has it been stressful for us too? Lily hesitated, caught between truth and mercy once again. Every marriage has its challenges, she said finally. We've had our share. Daniel reached for her hand, his touch warm and reassuring. Well, maybe this is a blessing in disguise, a chance to slow down, to remember what really matters. As Lily looked into his eyes, so full of hope and determination, she felt a flutter of something she hadn't experienced in years. Possibility. The possibility that despite everything, despite the lies she was telling and the truth he couldn't remember, they might find their way back to each other after all. Maybe it is, she whispered, squeezing his hand. Maybe it is. 2 weeks after Daniel's return home, Lily stood in front of her closet trying to decide what to wear. It was silly, really, getting nervous about a date with her own husband. But this wasn't just any date. It was their first real outing since the accident, and Daniel had been mysteriously secretive about his plans. Wear the blue dress, Beth suggested from her perch on Lily's bed. The one with the little flowers. You always look pretty in that. Lily pulled out the dress, a simple cotton sundress that she hadn't worn in years. Daniel had always liked it, said it matched her eyes. But that was the old Daniel, the one who noticed such things, before the farm became his only passion. Don't know, Lily hesitated. Maybe it's too casual. Daniel said dress comfortably, right? Besides, he always loved you in that dress. Lily slipped it on, surprised to find it still fit perfectly. He told you that? When? Beth smiled. Years ago at my 4th of July barbecue. You were wearing it and he couldn't take his eyes off you. Said you looked like the girl he fell in love with. Warmth spread through Lily's chest. She'd forgotten that day, that compliment. How many other sweet moments had been buried under years of hurt and disappointment? How are things going with you two? Beth asked, watching as Lily applied a light touch of makeup. Still playing house? It's not like that, Lily protested. We're getting to know each other again. It's nice. Nice? Beth raised an eyebrow. Lily Carson, you're glowing. I haven't seen you this happy in years. Lily couldn't deny it. The past 2 weeks had been like a dream. Daniel helping with the dishes, asking about her day, listening when she talked. He'd even taken an interest in her garden, spending hours beside her as she tended her flowers, asking questions, learning the names of each plant. It was as if the clock had been turned back to the early days of their marriage, before success changed him, before disappointment hardened her. I know it's not real, Lily said softly. I know his memory could come back. Any day, and then what? Beth asked. You think he'll go back to being the workaholic who neglected you? Maybe. Or maybe this experience will change him. Maybe he'll remember what matters. Or maybe he'll hate me for lying to him. The fear that had been gnawing at Lily grew stronger each day. I should have told him the truth from the beginning about how bad things were between us, about the divorce. And kick him while he was down? Lily, you did what you thought was right. You were protecting him. Was I, or was I just protecting myself? Lily turned from the mirror to face her sister. Every day that passes, this lie gets bigger. Every kind word, every tender moment, it's all based on a lie. Beth stood and took Lily's hands in hers. Not all of it. The way he looks at you now, that's real. The way you're falling for him again, that's real too. But no buts. You've been given a second chance, Lily. Don't waste it worrying about what might happen. Enjoy today. The future will take care of itself. Downstairs, the doorbell rang. Beth grinned. Your date's here. He lives here, Lily reminded her. He's just being romantic. Well, it's working. Look at you, all flustered over your own husband. Lily checked her reflection one last time, smoothed her dress, and headed downstairs. Beth followed, grabbing her purse from the guest room. I'll... Get out of your hair. Have fun, you two lovebirds. Daniel stood in the entryway looking handsome in khaki pants and a blue button-down shirt that brought out his eyes. His cast had been replaced with a brace, giving him more mobility, and the bruises on his face had faded to barely noticeable shadows. When he saw Lily, his face lit up with a smile that made her heart skip. "You look beautiful," he said, taking in the blue dress. "That color suits you." "Thank you," Lily said, feeling a blush creep across her cheeks. "You look pretty handsome yourself." Beth slipped past them with a knowing smile. "Don't wait up, kids, have fun." After Beth left, Daniel offered Lily his good arm. "Your chariot awaits, Mrs. Carson." Outside, instead of his truck, a horse-drawn carriage stood in the driveway, complete with a driver in a cap. "Daniel," Lily gasped. "What is this?" "Our date," he said, looking pleased with her reaction. "I wanted to make it special. But how did you arrange all this? You're supposed to be resting. I had help. Tom was very accommodating." Daniel helped her into the carriage, then climbed in beside her. "I told him I needed to properly court my wife. He thought it was romantic." As the carriage pulled away from the house, Lily felt a mixture of delight and guilt. This sweet, thoughtful man beside her, this was the Daniel she had fallen in love with. The Daniel who planned surprises, who made grand gestures, who looked at her like she was the center of his universe. But it was also the Daniel who didn't remember their problems, who didn't know that just 3 weeks ago she had been ready to walk out of his life forever. "Where are we going?" she asked, pushing the dark thoughts away. "You'll see." Daniel took her hand, his thumb tracing gentle circles on her palm. "I wanted tonight to be perfect. A proper first date for us to build new memories together." The carriage took them through the farm, past the orchards and fields, to a hilltop overlooking the property. There, bathed in the golden light of the setting sun, was a small table with 2 chairs, candles, and covered dishes. "Oh, Daniel," Lily breathed. "It's beautiful." "Not as beautiful as you," he said simply. The driver helped them down, then discreetly disappeared, promising to return in 2 hours. Daniel led Lily to the table and held her chair. "I remember our first date, you know. At least, I remember that. The county fair, the pie contest. You wore a yellow dress and had flowers in your hair." Lily's eyes widened. "You remember that?" "It's the only clear memory I have from before. The doctor says that's common with amnesia. Some memories stay while others go, and I'm glad that's one I kept." As they ate the delicious meal, prepared by the local inn, Daniel admitted, they talked about everything and nothing. Favorite books, childhood memories, dreams for the future. It was the kind of conversation they hadn't had in years, back when they were too busy arguing or avoiding each other to really talk. "Tell me about your garden," Daniel said as they finished. Dessert. "I've been watching you work in it, but I don't know much about flowers." Lily smiled, touched that he'd noticed her passion. "It's my sanctuary. When things get overwhelming, I go there. The flowers don't judge, don't make demands. They just need simple things, water, sunlight, care. Unlike husbands," Daniel said with a rueful smile. "Unlike people," Lily corrected. "We all need more than just the basics." Daniel reached across the table and took her hand. "What do you need, Lily? What makes you happy?" The question caught her off guard. When was the last time Daniel had asked what she needed? What made her happy? Years, probably. "This," she said honestly. "Moments like this. Connection. Feeling seen and heard. Known." Daniel's eyes softened. "I want to give you that. I may not remember our past, but I want to build a future where you're happy." As the sun disappeared behind the hills, casting the world in soft twilight, Daniel stood and pulled Lily to her feet. "Dance with me." "There's no music," she protested weakly. "We don't need any." He pulled her close, his good arm around her waist, and began to sway gently. Lily rested her head on his shoulder, breathing in his familiar scent, feeling safer and more content than she had in years. "Thank you for giving me a second chance," Daniel murmured against her hair, "for being patient while I figure things out." Guilt stabbed at Lily's heart. He thought she was the patient, understanding one, when, in reality, she was living a lie, deceiving him daily, pretending their marriage had been something it wasn't. But as Daniel's arm tightened around her, as he hummed softly in her ear, Lily pushed the guilt away. Tonight, just for tonight, she would let herself believe in the fantasy. Believe that. They were simply a couple in love, with no complicated past, no painful secrets. Tomorrow would be soon enough to face reality. The next morning, Lily woke to the smell of coffee and the sound of voices downstairs. For a moment she lay still, savoring the memory of last night's date, the carriage ride, the hilltop dinner, the dancing under the stars. It had been perfect, like something from a movie. When Daniel had kissed her goodnight at her bedroom door, it had been tender and respectful. A first date kiss, not the kiss of a husband of 15 years, but it had affected her more deeply than any kiss they'd shared in recent memory, sending warmth spreading through her body and making her wish for more. The voices downstairs grew louder, pulling Lily from her pleasant reverie. One of them was definitely Daniel's. The other, a woman's, was familiar but not Beth's. With a sense of dread, Lily threw on a robe and hurried downstairs. In the kitchen, Daniel sat at the table with Victoria Wade, papers spread out between them. Victoria was talking rapidly, gesturing to the documents while Daniel listened with a frown of concentration. "Daniel?" Lily said from the doorway. "What's going on?" Both heads turned toward her. Daniel looked guilty, like a child caught with his hand in the cookie jar. Victoria merely looked smug. "Good morning, Lily," Victoria said with false sweetness. "I was just bringing Daniel up to speed on the Wilson deal. The bank meeting is in 3 days and we need to be prepared." 3 days? Lily looked at Daniel. "I thought it was next week." "It was moved up," Victoria explained before Daniel could speak. "The Wilson heirs are getting impatient. If we don't close this deal now, we could lose it forever." Lily turned to Daniel. "You should have called me down. The doctor said no stress, no pressure." "I'm fine, Lily," Daniel assured her. "Victoria's just explaining the basics. And I'm feeling much better. The headaches are almost gone." "He has a right to know what's happening with his own company," Victoria added, a challenge in her eyes. "Or did you plan to keep him in the dark indefinitely?" The accusation stung because it held a grain of truth. Lily had been keeping Daniel in the dark, not about business, but about their failing marriage. About the divorce she'd been planning. Before his accident. "Of course not," Lily said, tightening her robe around her. "But his health comes first, the business can wait." Victoria gathered up the papers with a brisk efficiency. "Well, I've said what I came to say. The meeting is Thursday at 2 p.m. We need you there, Daniel, both of you," she added with a nod to Lily. "This is too important to miss." After Victoria left, Lily poured herself a cup of coffee, trying to calm her racing heart. "How long was she here?" "Not long. She just showed up, said she needed to brief me on this Wilson deal." "And you let her in just like that?" Daniel looked confused by her tone. "She's my business partner, isn't she? At least that's what everyone keeps telling me." Lily sat down across from him. "Yes, but Victoria has her own agenda. She always has. She's been pushing for this expansion for years, regardless of the cost." "The cost?" Daniel frowned. "Tom said it was a good deal. The land is prime, the price is fair." "I don't mean the money." Lily hesitated, unsure how to explain without revealing too much. "This farm is already huge, Daniel. The bigger it gets, the more demanding it becomes. The more it takes from other things." "What other things?" The concern in his eyes made Lily's throat tighten. "Time, energy, the simple joys of farming that you used to love." Daniel was silent for a moment, absorbing her words. "Is that what happened to us? The farm got too big, took too much of me." The question hung between them, dangerously close to the truth Lily had been hiding. "It's complicated," she said finally. "Then uncomplicate it for me." Daniel reached across the table, taking her hand. "I need to understand, Lily. I can feel there's something you're not telling me. Something about us, about what we were like before the accident." Lily looked into his eyes so full of trust and concern and felt her resolve crumbling. Maybe it was time for the truth, or at least part of it. "We've had challenges," she admitted. "The farm's success came with a price. You were always working, always expanding. There was less and less time for us." Daniel's face fell. "I neglected you." "You were building something amazing," Lily said quickly. "It just sometimes felt like the farm was your priority, not our marriage. And the Wilson deal, would it make things worse? Lily sighed. I don't know. It's more land, more responsibility, more demands on your time. Daniel was quiet for a long moment, processing this information. Then he squeezed her hand. Thank you for being honest with me. I needed to know. But I haven't been honest, Lily thought with a pang of guilt. Not completely. I haven't told you how bad things really were, how close we came to ending it all. What do you want to do about the bank meeting? She asked instead. I think we should go, Daniel said. Together. I need to understand this business. I've built for better or worse, but I promise you, Lily, nothing, not even this farm, is more important to me than you. Than us. The sincerity in his voice brought tears to Lily's eyes. This was what she had longed to hear from him for years. This recognition that their marriage mattered more than any business deal, any expansion, any success. But it was coming. From a Daniel who didn't remember becoming the man who had put the farm first, who didn't remember the fights, the broken promises, the growing distance between them. Would he still feel this way when his memory returned, or would he revert to the Daniel who had driven her to the brink of divorce? Lily. Daniel's voice broke into her thoughts. What are you thinking? She forced a smile. Just that I've missed you. The you who sees me. Daniel lifted her hand to his lips, pressing a gentle kiss to her palm. I see you, Lily, and I'm falling in love with you all over again. The words were like a knife to her heart, sweet and painful at the same time, because she was falling for him too, for this version of Daniel who put her first. And she was terrified of losing him again when reality came crashing back. The day of the bank meeting arrived too quickly. Lily stood in front of the mirror, smoothing the skirt of her navy blue dress, her serious business outfit, reserved for the rare occasions when she'd accompanied Daniel to meetings in the past. Daniel appeared behind her, handsome in a suit that Tom had brought over yesterday. You look beautiful, he said, meeting her eyes in the mirror. And terrified. Lily turned to face him. I'm just nervous. This is your world, not mine. It's our world, he corrected. At least it should be. He adjusted his tie one-handed, still clumsy with the brace on his other arm. Here, let me, Lily said, stepping closer to straighten it for him. The familiar intimacy of the gesture, the closeness of their bodies, made her breath catch. Daniel seemed to feel it too. He gazed down at her, his eyes darkening with desire. Lily, he murmured, leaning down. The ringing of the doorbell interrupted the moment. Lily stepped back, her cheeks flushed. That's probably Tom. He's driving us to the bank. Daniel caught her hand before she could turn away. We'll continue this later, he promised, his voice low and full of meaning. The ride to the bank was tense, with Tom briefing them on last-minute details of the Wilson property. Lily tried to focus, but her mind kept wandering back to that moment. In the bedroom, to the look in Daniel's eyes. They hadn't been intimate since before the accident, hadn't even shared a bedroom. But the way he'd looked at her. Lily, did you hear what I said? Tom's voice broke into her thoughts. I'm sorry, what? I said Victoria's already at the bank with the Wilsons. She's been working with them all week, making sure everything's in order. Lily nodded, a knot forming in her stomach. Victoria, always one step ahead, always pushing her own agenda. She glanced at Daniel, who was staring out the window, his jaw set in determination. Are you okay? She asked quietly. You're not in pain, are you? He turned to her with a reassuring smile. I'm fine, just trying to prepare myself. It's strange. Going into a meeting about my own business when I can't remember building it. You don't have to do this today, Lily reminded him. We could postpone. No, Daniel said firmly. This is important. To the farm, to our future. I need to be there. Our future. The words warmed Lily's heart, even as doubt nagged at her. What future could they have, built on half-truths and omissions? At the bank, Victoria was waiting in the lobby, elegant in a tailored suit, her dark hair swept into a severe bun. Finally, she said as they approached, the Wilsons are already in the conference room with Mr. Jenkins. We're right on time, Victoria, Daniel said mildly. The meeting starts at 2 p.m. It's 1:55. Oh, you know the saying, early is on time is late. Victoria replied with a dismissive wave. Shall we? As they followed her to the conference room, Victoria fell into step beside Daniel, speaking rapidly about interest rates and terms, completely ignoring Lily. It was a familiar pattern. Victoria monopolizing Daniel's attention, pushing Lily to the sidelines. In the past, Lily had let it happen, withdrawing into herself, adding Victoria's behavior to the list of grievances against Daniel. But now, watching Victoria lean in too close, touch Daniel's arm as she made a point, Lily felt a different emotion rising within her. Jealousy, pure and simple, and with it, a fierce protectiveness. This Daniel, the one who looked at her with love, who put her first, she wouldn't lose him without a fight. Not to Victoria, not to the business, not to anything. Daniel, she said, stepping forward and taking his arm, let me help you with these doors. The brace makes it awkward, doesn't it? Daniel smiled gratefully, and Victoria stepped back, a flash of irritation crossing her face. Inside the conference room, 3 people waited, Mr. Jenkins from the bank, and a middle-aged brother and sister who must be the Wilson heirs. Introductions were made, hands were shaken, and then they all took their seats around the large table. Mr. Carson, Mr. Jenkins began, it's good to see you recovered from your accident. We were all quite concerned. Thank you, Daniel said. I'm not fully recovered yet, but I'm well enough to be here for this important discussion. Excellent. Now, as I understand it, Carson Agricultural Enterprises is seeking a loan to purchase the Wilson property, which borders your existing farm. To the east. The purchase price is $4.2 million and... Excuse me, Daniel interrupted. Did you say $4.2 million? Victoria stepped in smoothly. Yes, that's the agreed-upon price. As I explained this morning, it's a fair market value for 300 acres of prime farmland. Daniel frowned. It sounds like a lot. It's actually quite reasonable, Mr. Wilson said. We had offers from developers for much more, but we preferred to sell to Carson Farms. Keep it as farmland as our father would have wanted. I appreciate that, Daniel said. But before we proceed, I'd like to understand the financial implications better. How will this loan affect our current debt load, our cash flow, our ability to meet existing obligations? Mr. Jenkins looked surprised by the questions. Well, according to the financial statements Ms. Wade provided, Carson Agricultural Enterprises is in an excellent position to take on this additional debt. Your revenue has been growing consistently, and your debt-to-income ratio is well within acceptable limits. But we would be significantly leveraged, correct? Taking on millions in new debt. Yes, but with the projected increase in production from the new land, you should be able to service the debt quite comfortably. Daniel turned to Victoria. And if those projections don't materialize? If we have a bad season or commodity prices drop? Victoria's smile tightened. Daniel, we've been over this. The risk is minimal. The opportunity is enormous. This is what you've been working toward for years. So I've been told, Daniel said dryly. But circumstances have changed. I've changed. He turned to Lily, his eyes seeking hers. What do you think? You've been quiet through all this. The question caught Lily off guard. Daniel had never asked for her opinion in business meetings before. Victoria looked equally shocked and more than a little annoyed. I think we need to be careful, Lily said finally. The farm is already successful. More land means more work, more stress, more time away from other priorities. Like what? Victoria asked with barely concealed contempt. Like family, Lily said, meeting her gaze steadily. Like balance. Like the things that make life worth living. Daniel nodded slowly, then turned back to the group. I appreciate everyone's time today, but I don't think I can make a decision right now. I need more time to consider all aspects of this deal, not just the financial ones. But the Wilsons need an answer, Victoria protested. If we delay, we could lose this opportunity. Then perhaps we lose it, Daniel said calmly. No business deal is worth rushing into, especially not one of this magnitude. The Wilson heirs exchanged glances. We can give you a few more days, Ms. Wilson said finally. Our father always spoke highly of you, Mr. Carson. Said you were a man of integrity. We'd prefer to sell to you if possible. Thank you, Daniel said. I promise to give you an answer by Monday. After handshakes and apologies, they left the bank, Victoria fuming visibly. In the parking lot, she confronted Daniel. "What was that? You just threw away years of work." "The Wilson property is the key to our expansion plans, to doubling our production, to what, Victoria?" Daniel interrupted. "To more stress, more pressure, more hours away from my wife, my home, the things that really matter." Victoria's eyes darted to Lily, then back to Daniel. "This isn't like you. You used to understand what it takes to build something great, to leave a legacy." "Maybe my legacy should be more than just a big farm," Daniel said quietly. "Maybe it should include a happy marriage, a balanced life." Victoria laughed incredulously. "A happy marriage? Is that what you think you have?" She turned to Lily. "Have you told him the truth yet? About how things really were between you before? The accident? About the divorce papers you were ready to file?" Lily felt the blood drain from her face. "That's enough, Victoria. No, I don't think it is. Daniel deserves to know that he's basing major business decisions on a fantasy. Your marriage was over. You were leaving him, and now you're using his amnesia to play house and sabotage everything he's worked for." Daniel looked between the two women, confusion and hurt clouding his eyes. "Lily, what is she talking about?" Lily's heart pounded in her chest. This was it, the moment she'd been dreading. The truth exposed in the worst possible way. "I think we should discuss this at home," she said, her voice shaking. "Not here, not like this." "Divorce papers?" Daniel repeated, the word seeming to physically pain him. "You were going to divorce me?" "Daniel, please. Were you?" His voice was barely above a whisper, but the pain in it cut through Lily like a knife. "Yes," she admitted, tears filling her eyes. "Things between us were difficult. We'd grown apart. The night of your accident, we had a fight. I told you I was seeing a lawyer the next day." Daniel staggered back as if she'd struck him. "So everything since then, the caring wife, the second chance, falling in love again, it was all a lie." "No!" Lily reached for him, but he stepped away. "The feelings are real, Daniel. These past weeks with you, they've reminded me of why I fell in love with you in the first place." Victoria watched the exchange with barely concealed satisfaction. "I'll leave you two to sort this out. But Daniel, the bank needs our answer by Monday. Don't throw away everything you've built because of personal complications." She walked away, leaving Daniel and Lily standing in the parking lot, the gulf between them suddenly wider than ever. "I trusted you," Daniel said, his voice hollow. "I thought we were starting over." We are." Lily wiped away tears. "I should have told you the truth from the beginning, but you were so hurt, so vulnerable. I couldn't bear to hurt you more. So you lied instead. Let me believe we had a good marriage, that we were happy." "We were happy once," Lily insisted. "Before the farm took over your life, before you changed." Daniel's eyes flashed with anger. "Changed how? Into someone ambitious? Successful? Someone who built all this?" "Into someone who didn't see me anymore," Lily cried. "Someone who broke promises, missed anniversaries, chose work over our marriage again and again. Someone who stopped loving me." The last words hung in the air between them, painful and raw. Daniel's face drained of color. "I stopped loving you. Is that what you thought?" "What was I supposed to think? You were never home. When you were distracted, distant. We haven't really talked in years, Daniel, not until after the accident." Tom approached cautiously, having witnessed the exchange from a distance. "Is everything okay? Should I drive you both home?" Daniel shook his head. "I need some time alone. I'll find my own way back." "Daniel, you shouldn't be by yourself," Lily protested. "Your head is fine," he cut her off. "My heart, on the other hand." He trailed off, then turned and walked away, his shoulders slumped. Lily watched him go, tears streaming down her face. "Daniel, please." But he didn't look back. Hours later, Lily paced the farmhouse, sick with worry. Daniel hadn't come home. Night was falling, and with it a summer storm, thunder rumbling in the distance, lightning flashing across the darkening sky. "He still isn't answering his phone," Beth said, hanging up after her fifth attempt to call him. But Tom talked to the sheriff. No accidents reported, and Daniel's credit card was used at the River Bend Motel about an hour ago. At least we know he's safe. "Safe but alone," Lily said, wrapping her arms around herself. This is all my fault. I should have told him the truth from the beginning. You were trying to protect him, Beth reminded her. Your heart was in the right place. Was it? Or was I just protecting myself? Giving myself another chance with the Daniel I fell in love with before he changed? Rain began to pelt the windows, driven by gusts of wind that made the old farmhouse creak. Lily stared out into the darkness, imagining Daniel in some impersonal motel room, hurt and confused, his world turned upside down once again. I need to go to him, she decided suddenly. I need to explain, to make him understand. In this storm, Lily, it's not safe. I don't care. I can't leave him alone, not after what happened today. Beth sighed, knowing there was no changing her sister's mind. At least let me drive you. You're in no condition to drive yourself. 20 minutes later, they pulled into the parking lot of the Riverbend Motel, a modest establishment on the outskirts of town. Rain hammered on the roof of Beth's car as they peered through the windshield, trying to spot Daniel's truck. There, Lily said, pointing to the familiar red pickup parked outside room 12. That's his. Want me to wait? Beth asked. Lily shook her head. No. However this goes, it might take a while. I'll call you if I need a ride home. Steeling herself, Lily dashed through the rain to room 12 and knocked on the door. No answer. She knocked. Again, harder. Daniel, it's me. Please open the door. We need to talk. Silence. Then finally, the sound of movement inside. The door opened to reveal Daniel, his hair disheveled, his eyes red-rimmed. What do you want, Lily? His voice was flat, emotionless. To explain. To tell you the whole truth. Please, can I come in? I'm getting soaked out here. He hesitated, then stepped aside. The motel room was small and sparsely furnished. A bed, a chair, a small table. On the table was a bottle of whiskey, half empty, and a glass. You shouldn't be drinking, Lily said, automatically. Not with your head injury, Daniel laughed bitterly. Always the caring wife, even when it's all a lie. It's not a lie, Lily insisted. Not all of it. Not the parts that matter. She sat on the edge of the bed, while Daniel took the chair, putting as much distance between them as the small room allowed. I'm listening, he said. Lily took a deep breath. Yes, our marriage was in trouble before your accident. Yes, I was planning to see a divorce lawyer, but that doesn't mean I didn't love you. I did, I do. I was drowning, Daniel. Drowning in loneliness, in disappointment. Because I changed, Daniel said, recalling her words from earlier. I became someone who didn't see you anymore. The farm consumed you, Lily explained. Year after year, you kept expanding, taking on more, pushing harder. You were never home. When you were exhausted or preoccupied with the next big deal. Victoria was more your partner than I was. Was there anything between Victoria and me? Daniel asked hesitantly. No, Lily admitted. Not that I know of. That was just my insecurity. My fear that since she shared the part of your life that seemed to matter most to you, maybe she meant more to you than I did. Daniel ran a hand through his hair, wincing slightly as his fingers brushed against the still tender spot where he'd hit his head. And after the accident? Why didn't you tell me the truth then? I planned to, but then you woke up and you looked at me like you used to, like I was your whole world. And you didn't remember any of the bad parts, any of the hurt. It felt like a second chance, a chance to remember why we fell in love in the first place. So you lied. I omitted, Lily corrected. I never lied about how we met, how we fell in love. Those parts were all true. The feelings, my feelings for you now, those are true too. Daniel was silent for a long moment, processing her words. Outside the storm raged, rain lashing against the windows, thunder cracking overhead. I've been sitting here trying to understand, he said finally, trying to imagine who I became, to make you want to leave me. And the worst part is, I can see it happening. I can feel it in myself, the drive, the ambition, the need to expand, to succeed. Even without my memories, I know that's who I am. It's part of who you are, Lily said, but not all. These past weeks, you've been the man I fell in love with again, caring, attentive, present, putting our relationship first. Because I didn't. Remember the farm was more important? The bitterness in his voice cut through her. No, Lily said firmly. Because without the pressure, without the constant expansion, you remembered what really matters. Us, our life together. Daniel stood abruptly, pacing the small room. What if my memory never comes back? What if I never remember the farm? The business, all I've built? What then? Then we start over, Lily said. Together, we rebuild in a way that works for both of us. And if my memory does come back, if I remember being that other Daniel, the one who put the farm first, who drove you away? Lily stood, moving toward him cautiously. Then we face it together. We learn from our mistakes. We find a balance that works for both of us. Daniel stopped pacing, turning to face her. In his eyes, Lily saw a mixture of pain, confusion, and something else, a flicker of hope. I don't know if I can trust you again, he said softly. You let me believe in a marriage that wasn't real. It was real once, Lily insisted, taking another step toward him. And it's real now. These feelings between us, they're real, Daniel. More real than they've been in years. Another step, and she was close enough to touch him. Hesitantly, she raised her hand to his face, cupping his cheek. I love you, Daniel Carson. The you from 15 years ago, and the you standing in front of me now. I never stopped loving you even when I was ready to leave, that's the truth. For a long moment, Daniel stood frozen, his eyes searching hers. Then slowly, he leaned into her touch. I love you too, he whispered. Even without my memories, I know that's true. But I don't know if love is enough. It's a start, Lily said, her voice breaking. It's something to build on. Outside, lightning flashed, illuminating the room in stark white light. In that brief moment, something shifted in Daniel's expression. A flicker of recognition followed by a wince of pain. Daniel? Lily said, alarmed. What is it? He staggered slightly, raising a hand to his head. I remembered something just for a second when the lightning flashed. What did you remember? Our fight, the night of the accident. You said I cared more about the farm than about you. And I said... He broke off, his face twisted in pain. What did you say? Lily whispered, afraid of the answer. I said maybe I did, Daniel admitted, his voice hollow. I said maybe the farm was the only thing I could count on, the only thing that didn't disappoint me. Lily felt the words like a physical blow. You said that to me? Yes. Daniel looked bewildered by his own memory. Why would I say that? How could I say that to you? Tears streamed down Lily's face. Because we were both hurting, both saying things we didn't mean. I told you I was done trying, that you'd never change, that I couldn't live like that anymore. And then I had the accident, Daniel said slowly. And I did change, because I forgot who I'd become. He sank onto the bed, overwhelmed by the brief but powerful memory. Lily sat beside him, not touching him now, giving him space to process. Is it starting to come back? Your memory? She asked. I think so. Just flashes, fragments. But yes. Fear gripped Lily's heart. If Daniel's memory was returning, would he become the man he had been before? The man who had driven her to the brink of divorce? Or would this experience change him? Help him remember what truly mattered? I'm scared, she admitted. Scared that when you remember everything, you'll go back to being that other Daniel, the one who didn't see me. Daniel turned to her, his eyes clear despite the pain and confusion. I don't want to be that man, he said firmly. Memory or no. Memory, I don't want to be someone who hurts you, who puts anything above our marriage. Then don't be, Lily said simply. Choose differently, choose us. Daniel reached for her hand, intertwining their fingers. Come home with me, he said, not to keep pretending, but to start over, really start over, with the truth this time. All of it. What about the Wilson deal, the bank, Victoria? They'll wait, Daniel said, or they won't. Either way, they're not as important as fixing what's broken between us. As they sat hand in hand, the storm outside began to subside, the thunder growing more distant, the rain gentling to a soft patter against the windows. A sense of calm settled over them, not the false peace of deception, but the quieter, stronger peace that comes after weathering a storm together. It won't be easy, Lily warned. Habits are hard to break, and when your memory fully returns, When my memory returns, Daniel interrupted, I'll have new memories to balance it. Memories of these weeks with you. Memories of what matters most. He lifted their joined hands, pressing a gentle kiss to her knuckles. Take me home, Lily, let's start again. And as they walked out into the rain-washed night, Lily felt a flicker of hope in her heart. Perhaps this was their chance. Not a second chance built on lies, but a true new beginning. Built on honesty, understanding, and a love that had survived its greatest test. But as Daniel's truck followed Beth's car down the wet highway toward home, neither of them saw Victoria Wade watching from the shadows of the motel parking lot, her face set in a determined frown, her cell phone pressed to her ear. Yes, she was saying to someone on the other end. I think it's time for Plan B. Daniel and his wife are becoming problematic. We need to act now before his memory fully returns and he remembers what he promised me. Lightning flashed once more in the distance, illuminating the cold calculation in Victoria's eyes. The storm might have passed, but for Daniel and Lily, the darkest clouds were still gathering on the horizon. Morning sunlight streamed through the kitchen windows as Lily made coffee, her mind replaying the events of the previous night. After their emotional reunion at the motel, she and Daniel had come home exhausted, both physically and emotionally. They'd slept in separate rooms, but the air between them felt different now, clearer, despite the uncertainty that still hung over them. The sound of footsteps on the stairs made her heart quicken. Daniel appeared in the doorway, hair damp from a shower, looking more rested than she'd expected. Morning, he said quietly. Coffee smells good. Lily handed him a cup. How's your head? Any more memories? Just fragments. Flashes, Daniel said, taking a sip. But they're coming more frequently now. Dr. Patterson said that's how it usually happens. Pieces first, then larger chunks, until everything falls into place. And how do you feel about that? About remembering everything? Daniel set his cup down and looked directly at her. Scared, hopeful, confused. I don't know what kind of man I'll find when all the memories return, but I know what kind of man I want to be now. Lily's throat tightened with emotion. What happens next? With us? We start over. No more lies. No more pretending everything was perfect. We face the truth together, the good and the bad. Lily nodded, relieved and terrified at the same time. The doorbell interrupted their moment and she frowned. It's barely 8. Who could that be? Daniel shrugged. Maybe Tom with an update on the farm. But when Lily opened the door, it wasn't Tom standing on their porch. It was Sheriff Mike Taylor, his expression grim. Mike? What is it? I need to speak with Daniel, he said, removing his hat. It's important. Daniel appeared behind Lily. What's going on, Sheriff? Mike shifted uncomfortably. Maybe we should sit down for this. In the living room, Mike declined coffee and got straight to the point. There's been some irregularities discovered with the Carson Agricultural Enterprises accounts. The bank contacted me this morning. Irregularities, Daniel repeated. What kind of irregularities? Large sums of money transferred to offshore accounts over the past 6 months. Nearly $2 million all told, Lily gasped. $2 million? That's impossible. Daniel would never... The transfers were authorized using Daniel's credentials, Mike continued. His passwords, his security protocols. The bank became suspicious when another large transfer was attempted last night, after hours. Daniel's face had gone pale. I don't remember any of this. I wouldn't steal from my own company. That doesn't make any sense. The bank doesn't think you did it, Mike said. They suspect your accounts were compromised. But they need your help to figure out who did have access to your credentials. Victoria, Lily said immediately. She has access to everything. She's been handling all the financial matters since Daniel's accident. Mike nodded. That's what I figured too. Victoria Wade has disappeared, by the way. Checked out of her condo last night, credit cards cancelled, phone disconnected. Classic signs of someone on the run. Daniel leaned forward, wincing slightly as his head throbbed. Wait. You're saying Victoria, my business partner, has been embezzling money from the company, and now she's fled? That's what it looks like, Mike confirmed. We're working with the FBI now, since the money crossed state lines. But we need your help. Daniel, we need you to try to remember anything that might help the investigation. Daniel closed his eyes, concentrating. I wish I could. It's all still so fragmented. There's something else, Mike added. The Wilson property deal. The bank looked into that too. Seems the price was inflated by nearly $1 million above market value. They suspect Ms. Wade had arranged to pocket the difference. Through a shell company, Lily sank onto the couch, stunned. So the deal Victoria was pushing so hard would have made her rich at our expense, and given her a perfect opportunity to disappear with the money, Mike concluded. If Daniel had signed those papers yesterday, she'd have had access to millions more. After Mike left, promising to keep them updated on the investigation, Lily and Daniel sat in shocked silence. Finally, Daniel spoke. I trusted her, at least I must have, to give her that much access. We both did, Lily admitted. She's been your partner for 5 years. There was never any reason to suspect she was anything but loyal. Daniel rubbed his temples, frustration evident in his face. If only I could remember. There must be something, some clue I'm missing. Lily put her hand on his. Don't force it. The doctor said stress can actually make it harder for memories to return. Daniel sighed. I know, it's just everything feels like it's crumbling around us. The farm, the business, our marriage. Everything I thought I knew, everything I've been told since the accident, has turned out to be more complicated than I realized. Not everything, Lily said quietly. My feelings for you, they're real. Complicated, yes, but real. Daniel squeezed her hand. That's the one thing keeping me grounded right now. The phone rang and Lily answered it. Hello, Mrs. Carson? It's Tom. You and Daniel need to come to the main office right away. The FBI agents are here, and they've found something in Victoria's desk you need to see. The Carson Agricultural Enterprises main office was a bustle of activity when they arrived. FBI agents in suits moved through the building, carrying boxes of documents, computers, and other evidence. Tom met them at the door, looking haggard. They've been here since dawn, he explained, leading them toward Daniel's office. Turns out, Victoria had a whole separate set of books. She's been siphoning money for months, maybe longer. In Daniel's office, a female FBI agent was waiting for them. Mr. and Mrs. Carson, I'm Agent Rodriguez. Thank you for coming in. Have you found Victoria? Lily asked. Not yet, but we will. She can't hide forever, Agent Rodriguez assured them. What we have found is this. She held up a small leather-bound notebook. It was hidden in a false bottom in Ms. Wade's desk drawer. What is it? Daniel asked. A record of her activities, and something more troubling. It appears Ms. Wade was planning to gain control of Carson Agricultural Enterprises by any means necessary. Daniel frowned. How? I own the controlling interest. According to her notes, she was hoping your memory loss would be permanent. She had documents prepared for you to sign that would have given her power of attorney and eventually full control of the company. Lily felt sick. She was taking advantage of Daniel's condition. Yes, and when it became clear his memory might return, she accelerated her plans. The Wilson deal was part of it, a way to quickly extract a large sum of money before disappearing. Daniel's face darkened. So last night, when Lily and I reconciled, when it became clear I wouldn't just hand over control, she must have realized her plan was falling apart, Agent Rodriguez confirmed. That's when she attempted the final large transfer and fled. Agent Rodriguez passed Daniel the notebook. There's something else you should see. Personal notes. About both of you. It seems Ms. Wade had a particular interest in you, Mr. Carson. One that went beyond business. Daniel flipped through the pages, his expression growing more troubled with each one. Then he passed the notebook to Lily. Her blood ran cold as she read Victoria's private thoughts. Daniel would be perfect if not for her. She doesn't understand him, doesn't support his vision. He deserves someone who shares his ambition, who can be a true partner. Once she's out of the picture, he'll see that person is me. She was in love with you, Lily said quietly. Or thought she was. Obsessed is more like it, Agent Rodriguez corrected. There are entries going back years. She deliberately tried to drive a wedge between you too, encouraging Mr. Carson to work longer hours, miss personal events, prioritize business over family. Daniel looked stunned. I don't remember any of it. But it explains so much, why our marriage was struggling, why I changed. Victoria saw an opportunity when he had the accident, Lily realized. She thought with his memory gone, she could finally get what she wanted, control of the company and Daniel. Agent Rodriguez nodded. We believe so. The good news is we've frozen all the company accounts she had access to, and with this evidence, plus the financial records, we have a strong case against her when she's caught. After the FBI agent left them alone in Daniel's office, Lily sat heavily in a chair. I knew Victoria was ambitious, but this, planning to steal the company, trying to steal my husband, it's like something from a bad movie. Daniel knelt beside her chair, taking her hands in his. She didn't succeed, not at any of it. The company is safe, we're safe. He touched her cheek gently. And no one is stealing me from you. Not now. Not ever again. His words warmed her heart, but doubt still lingered. You say that now, but when your memory returns completely, when you remember who you were before. I remember more than you think, Daniel said quietly. It's been coming back all morning, flashes, scenes, conversations. I remember expanding the farm, hiring Victoria, the long hours, the missed anniversaries. I remember the fights. Lily's breath caught. You do? Daniel nodded, pain evident in his eyes. I remember what I became, how I pulled away from you, convinced that building the farm was more important than building our marriage. I was wrong, Lily. So wrong. It wasn't all your fault, Lily admitted. I pulled away too. Instead of fighting for us, I retreated into my garden, my own little world. I gave up. We both did, Daniel agreed. But we have a second chance now, if you still want it. Lily searched his face, seeing both the Daniel she'd fallen in love with and glimpses of the man he'd become. But there was something new there too. Wisdom, humility, a deeper understanding of what truly mattered. I want it, she whispered. I want us. Saita, and 1 month later, the harvest was in full swing, golden fields stretching as far as the eye could see. Workers moved through the orchards, picking apples and pears, while others operated combines in the wheat fields. It was Carson, farm's most abundant season yet. On the farmhouse porch, Daniel sat with Mr. Jenkins from the bank and the Wilson siblings, signing the final papers for the purchase of their land. But the terms were very different from what Victoria had negotiated. So we're clear, Daniel said, looking at the Wilson heirs. We're purchasing 100 acres, not the full 300, at fair market value, with no hidden fees or inflated prices. Ms. Wilson nodded. And we're keeping the other 200 acres in conservation, with a right-of-way for your farm to access the creek. It's what our father would have wanted. It's a fair deal for everyone, Mr. Jenkins agreed. Carson Farms gets the additional land it needs without overextending, and the Wilson family preserves their legacy. After the papers were signed and their guests had left, Daniel found Lily in her garden, planting fall bulbs for spring flowers. Her hands were covered in soil, her face flushed from exertion, and Daniel thought she had never looked more beautiful. It's done, he said, sitting on the garden bench. The Wilson deal is complete, the scaled-back version at least. Lily looked up, shading her eyes against the afternoon sun. How does it feel, making your first big business decision since the accident? Good, right, Daniel smiled. 100 acres is plenty for now. We don't need to be the biggest farm in the state. Just the best run, the most balanced. Victoria wouldn't approve, Lily teased. Victoria is facing 20 years in federal prison, so her approval doesn't matter much. The news had come yesterday. Victoria Wade had been arrested in Mexico, attempting to flee to a country with no extradition treaty. The FBI had recovered most of the stolen funds, and with her detailed records seized as evidence, she had little hope of avoiding conviction. Have you decided what to do about the company structure? Lily asked, returning to her planting. Daniel nodded. I'm breaking up Carson Agricultural Enterprises into smaller, more manageable units. Carson Farms will go back to being just that, a farm. No more conglomerate, no more endless expansion. What about your partners? The investors? They'll be taken care of. But the farm itself, that stays in the family. Our family. Lily's hands stilled in the soil. Our family, she repeated softly. Daniel moved from the bench to kneel beside her in the dirt, heedless of his clean pants. I've been thinking about that a lot lately. Family. The one we have, and the one we might still build. Lily's eyes widened. Daniel, we tried for years. The doctors said... I know what the doctors said, Daniel interrupted gently, but there are other ways to build a family. Adoption, fostering, or maybe just the two of us, focusing on each other, being enough for each other. Lily's eyes filled with tears. You'd consider adoption? The old Daniel was so set on having his own biological children, continuing the Carson bloodline. The old Daniel was an idiot, he said with a rueful smile, too caught up in legacy and bloodlines to see what really matters. Family isn't about DNA, it's about love, commitment, being there for each other. He took her soil-covered hand in his. My memory is almost completely back now. I remember who I was, what I did, how I hurt you. But I also remember the past 2 months, falling in love with you all over again, seeing you with new eyes, rediscovering what's truly important. Lily's breath caught as Daniel reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box, the same one she'd found in his desk drawer the day of the accident. I bought this for our anniversary, he said, opening the box to reveal the diamond. A necklace, a poor substitute for what you really needed. My time, my attention, my heart, but I'd like to give it to you now as a symbol of a new promise. He removed the necklace from the box. I promise to put us first, to remember what matters, to be the husband you deserve, not just today, but every day. Lily's tears fell freely now. Are you sure? Your memory is back. You remember everything. The farm, the success, all you built. Don't you want that life back? I want a better life, Daniel said firmly. One with balance, with joy, with you by my side as a true partner. The farm is important, yes, but not more important than us. He fastened the necklace around her neck, the diamond catching the sunlight. So what do you say, Lily Carson? Will you stay married to me? Will you give us, the real us with all our flaws and history, a second chance? Lily looked into his eyes, seeing both the man she'd fallen in love with all those years ago and the man he'd become through hardship and healing. Yes, she whispered. Yes to all of it. Daniel pulled her into his arms, heedless of the garden soil that smudged their clothes. Their lips met in a kiss that felt both familiar and brand new, a perfect blend of their past and their future. 1 year later, the sunset painted the sky in shades of pink and gold as guests gathered under the old oak tree by the pond. White chairs were arranged in neat rows, an arch of flowers marking the spot where 16 years earlier Daniel and Lily had first said their vows. Lily watched from the farmhouse window as Beth arranged the last of the flowers. Are you ready? Her sister called. Almost, Lily replied, smoothing the simple white dress she'd chosen for the occasion. Around her neck, the diamond necklace caught the light, a constant reminder of promises made and kept. A soft knock at the bedroom door made her turn. Daniel stood there, handsome in a suit, his eyes filled with love. You're not supposed to see me before the ceremony, Lily scolded, but she was smiling. I couldn't wait, Daniel admitted. Besides, this isn't a wedding, it's a renewal. Still, there are traditions. Daniel crossed the room and took her hands in his. Haven't we broken enough traditions already? Falling in love after 15 years of marriage, starting over when most couples would have given up, Lily laughed. When you put it that way, I guess we're not exactly conventional. And that's what I love about us, Daniel said, brushing a strand of hair from her face. We found our way back, to each other against all odds. The past year had been one of tremendous change. The farm still thrived, but on a more manageable scale. Daniel worked reasonable hours now, making time for what truly mattered. They'd started the adoption process, hoping to open their home to a child who needed love. Most importantly, they'd rebuilt their marriage, not by forgetting the past, but by learning from it. Every day wasn't perfect. They still had disagreements, still had to work at communicating, still had moments of doubt, but they faced them together, committed to never letting distance grow between them again. "I have something for you," Daniel said, pulling a small package from his pocket. A renewal gift. Lily unwrapped it to find a delicate silver charm bracelet. A single charm hung from it, a small silver gardening trowel. "It's beautiful," she said as he fastened it around her wrist. "I plan to add a new charm every year," Daniel explained. "Symbols of our life together, our shared journey." From outside, they heard the music begin, their cue that the ceremony was about to start. "Ready to marry me again?" Daniel asked, offering his arm. "I've never been more ready for anything in my life," Lily replied, taking it, as they walked down the stairs. Together, Lily thought about the strange, winding path that had led them here. A crumbling marriage, a devastating accident, a loss of memory that had paradoxically helped them find each other again. Daniel had said once that perhaps his accident had been a blessing in disguise. At the time, Lily hadn't been sure. But now, walking arm in arm with the man she loved, a man who saw her, valued her, put their relationship first, she knew it was true. Sometimes you had to forget everything to remember what truly mattered. Outside, their friends and family rose as Daniel and Lily emerged from the house. The setting sun gilded everything in golden light as they walked together toward the oak tree, toward their future. Not a new beginning, but a continuation of a love story that had weathered its greatest storm and emerged stronger for it. Under the spreading branches of the ancient oak, with the farm stretching out around them like a patchwork quilt of greens and golds, Daniel and Lily faced each other, ready to renew the promises they'd made 16 years before, promises they now understood the true value of keeping. "I, Daniel, take you, Lily." As they spoke their vows, a gentle breeze stirred the leaves overhead, and somewhere in the distance, a mourning dove called to its mate, a sweet, lonesome sound that spoke of fidelity, of homecoming, of love that endures against all odds just like theirs. The end.